Microsoft Cloud Storage is going to see a massive undertaking that places data storage centers with Project Natick. The global cloud storage market is expected to exceed $200 billion by 2027, despite being more than 100 feet underwater. As a result, Microsoft is leading the industry in innovation by introducing data storage containers that can be completely submerged. These containers necessarily require less infrastructure and land, as well as being more environmentally friendly. They are easily expandable and will provide faster data and internet services to coastal areas. Project Natick, the future of data storage, aims to improve data service worldwide. Let's investigate Microsoft's audacious design to find out more about this project. Microsoft deliberately sank it in 2018 after tethering it to land with power lines and fiber optic cables. Under 117 meters of seawater, 12 racks of IT equipment inside continue to run for the next 2 years, processing workloads for the aptly named Microsoft Azure. The Underwater Data Center was the most recent experiment in Project Natick, an ongoing effort to run servers unattended in order to determine whether the cloud can function underwater. It was time to retrieve the capsule and evaluate the results in July 2020. Natick got its start in 2013 when Microsoft researcher Sean James, a former US Navy submariner, published a paper proposing underwater data centers. In 2014, the company decided to go all in and formed the Natick team led by Ben Cutler. Cutler's team took the risk in 2015, enclosing a single rack of servers in a vessel and sinking it in shallow water off the coast of California. The micro data center functioned reliably for 3 months before being retrieved for evaluation. Data that's faster, cheaper, and environmentally friendly. Microsoft is a major spender in the data center market. The industry saw a record-breaking third quarter in 2020, with data center spending reaching $37 billion, led by these companies. But Microsoft is on a mission to make data storage more affordable, accessible, and environmentally friendly, and it all begins with Project Natick. The Northern Isles Data Center is a 40-foot long data storage container loaded with 12 racks containing a total of 864 servers. It was deployed 117 feet below water to the seafloor in the spring of 2018. It sat there for 2 years, operating and being monitored before being decommissioned in 2020. The data center was cleaned and air sampled before being loaded onto a truck and driven to Global Energy Group's Nig Energy Park facility in the north of Scotland. As Fowers and his team performed health checks and collected components to send the Redmond for analysis, Naval Group unbolted the end cap and slid out the server racks. A few failed servers and related cables are among the components created up and shipped to Redmond. This hardware, according to the researchers, will help them understand why the servers in the underwater data center are 8 times more reliable than those on land. Initial analysis suggested that the underwater data center's successful failure rate was due to the static, dry nitrogen environment, as opposed to land-based centers with oxygen, humidity, temperature fluctuations, and bumps and jolts from human interactions. The underwater data center was built with cooling systems and renewable energy sources, such as onshore wind and solar power, as well as offshore tides and waves. Although renewable energy was not included in the scope of this project, Scotland has many local green energy sources, and Orkney is home to the European Marine Energy Centre, a wave and power generation testbed. It's a facility where people can go to test these renewable energy devices, and they have berths that you can rent. We rented one of those berths in the wave energy area. SSDC-002 was also linked to the grid, but as a consumer. One of the things we liked up there was the dynamic that it was a renewable environment that is consistent with our desired course of action. Microsoft is working to reduce its carbon negative by 2030 by improving the efficiency and sustainability of its cloud infrastructure. By 2025, the company intends to use 100% renewable energy in all of its data centers. Building underwater data centers. Several important factors were taken into consideration in the design of Project Natick. Of course, durability was an important factor. The steel containers are very well sealed to prevent leaks. The size was also an important factor because those containers had to fit on things like cargo ships. With a manageable 40-foot length, these centers can be manufactured and moved more quickly, then built upon if necessary to create even larger underwater data centers. Another factor was sustainability. Once recovered, the data storage containers can be completely recycled and no land needs to be cleared or used for data centers, providing a solution for the problem of land scarcity. Putting Project Natick underwater also meant investigating how data centers are kept cool. Having them deep under the sea means that vital freshwater resources do not have to be tapped. It takes billions of gallons of water to keep the on-land data servers temperature controlled. Microsoft began developing the underwater data center concept in 2018. During Think Week, the project built a small experimental container and deployed it for 105 days in the Pacific Ocean to provide faster service to coastal regions while saving energy. This 38,500-pound, the 10-foot by 7-foot, 3 by 2.1 meter container was carefully lowered into the ocean by both the Azure team and marine specialists inside the container. They've been modified for a marine environment, with controlled electronics and a cooling system on the outside, as well as a strong steel shell with heat exchange and information retrieval outputs. When it comes back to the surface, Microsoft was able to use more energy-efficient designs due to the consistently cool temperatures beneath the sea. As for where the electricity comes from, for example, heat exchange plumbing like that found on submarines, putting a data center underwater offers a variety of options. It can be generated using renewable energy sources such as wind, solar, and even wave and tidal power. Of course, getting the center into the wave necessitates some planning, as do deployment and retrieval, energy waste, and water. Other Project Natick lessons are already informing discussions about how to make data centers use energy more sustainably, according to the researchers. The Project Natick team, for example, chose the Orkney Islands for the Northern Isles deployment in part because of the grid there is entirely powered by wind and solar, as well as experimental green energy technologies under deployment at the European Marine Energy Center. We've been able to run really well on what most land-based data centers consider an unreliable grid, said Powers. We're hopeful that we'll be able to look at our findings and conclude that perhaps we do not need quite as much infrastructure focused on power and reliability. Other benefits of sustainability may include the elimination of the need for replacement parts. All servers in a lights-out data center would be replaced every 5 years. Because the servers are so reliable, the few that fail prematurely are simply taken offline. Early discussions about Project Natick's potential feature focused on how to scale up underwater data centers to power the full suite of Microsoft Azure cloud services, which could necessitate connecting a dozen or more vessels the size of the Northern Isles. There are currently plans to scale up Project Natick so that it can power all of Microsoft Azure's cloud services. This may necessitate the connection of several vessels, the size of a Northern Islet's container, but would imply entire data centers submerged. This has the potential to change the way businesses store data as well as the way we interact with them. It is completely transforming an industry that is likely to undergo many more innovative transformations in the future. Microsoft is also making the transition from underwater to undercover as they prepare to launch a massive top-secret data storage project for the US government. The Department of Defense's JEDI Cloud contract, worth $10 billion, will see Azure store highly sensitive data. It is clear that Microsoft is focusing on what we know about data centers, and while this change may take some time to become widespread, the human population will reap the environmental, economic, and social benefits for many years to come. In today's climate, it's encouraging to see that even one of the world's most powerful corporations can show some concern for the environment. Maybe it's the instant access to cloud-based services, or maybe it's the lower environmental impact. But whatever it is, tell us why you're most excited about this new generation of data centers, or why you're still suspicious.